Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome to something a little bit new that I've decided to do. Today we're going to be looking at building with a very specific block, and people have been asking me for build tutorials for a while, but I thought rather than just show you one build that I've done and spend about 20 minutes building it on camera for you, instead I thought I would show you how I approach the use of materials to maybe inspire you to create some builds of your own. And today, since 1.10 is kind of imminent, we're going to be looking at a new material that they've added in 1.10, red nether brick. Now this is a really exciting block for me, and I think it's probably going to be one of my favorites once the new update is released. And I can hear some of you guys typing already, but it doesn't have stairs and slabs picks. It's logical that it should have stairs and slabs because regular nether brick does, and I feel you. Like, I understand that a lot of people would like to see stair and slab variants of red nether brick, but Mojang has not added them, and they've not added them for what I think is a pretty specific reason. It's because you can learn to build with just blocks and use blocks differently, and stairs and slabs are not essential to have as part of the builder's toolset for you to build something incredible. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of what I think about red nether brick. First of all, this is a bit intense. Like, this room here feels like the devil's waiting room or something like that. It is a little bit heavy on the red, so I would not necessarily recommend using red nether brick as a material just to build walls. Like, you wouldn't necessarily build a castle out of this unless you're building Bowser's castle or something, but it does look pretty good in terms of using it to frame other stuff. Like, it really pops, and it makes the material in here stand out, because that red color you have there is really kind of eye-catching, I think, and it's definitely going to be a build material that catches people's eyes. Now, to make red nether brick, I had a crafting table around here somewhere. There it is. To make red nether brick, you need 2 nether brick, so that's smelted netherrack, and you need 2 nether wart. Now, nether brick has not really had much use except to craft other nether brick blocks, so it's kind of nice that it's, in a way, getting a new use. And of course, nether wart is getting its own kind of material block with 9 of those in a 3x3. But red nether brick is made just with 2 nether bricks and 2 nether wart in a 2x2 like that. So you don't even need a crafting table to make it, really. I'm just using one because I'm in creative mode. So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be a castle building material like you would, for example, stone brick, unless maybe you're building in the nether and you have that kind of like dark castle sort of theme, then maybe it might stand out a little bit more. But this is the palette that I've kind of come up with for the blocks that they've added in 1.10 plus regular nether brick. They create this fantastic gradient, and if you look at this color, there isn't really another block with that kind of color in the Minecraft color palette right now. So if you look at some of the red blocks that we already have, I haven't included red wool here, but it's more or less the same color as red stained clay. They almost seem a little bit dull by comparison. This is such an intense new block that it makes regular red stained clay not look all that red. So I'm kind of interested to see how people end up using this to kind of pop out that red color in builds. Same with the nether wart block, which I'll cover in another episode of this if you guys are interested in seeing more episodes like this, but it kind of reminds me of like a plush carpet sort of thing. That's why I've used it as a carpet in that other build you saw back there. So a couple of considerations when it comes to using red nether brick. The first of which is that it doesn't tile with regular red brick. You'll notice that what you would probably call the mortar in these brick blocks doesn't line up exactly with the mortar in the red nether brick blocks. This line at the top basically pushes the entire texture down one, where this brick block has a line at the bottom. So that's got to come into play a little bit when you're talking about how these blocks tile, although as you would expect, it tiles pretty well with regular nether brick, which has that kind of pattern. And you can kind of see, in the same way that cobblestone and endstone are kind of inverted versions of each other, nether brick is supposed to be sort of an inverted version of regular red brick. Now, the difference between those is the pattern down here. They kind of have a different pattern of tiling there. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Like, there's 4 smaller bricks, like they're kind of turned sideways on, and the same is true of red nether brick. The important thing to note when it comes to using red nether brick, I think, is how blocks in Minecraft react to light. For example, take this kind of wall diorama thing. It's got a kind of a creepy face vibe to it, but ignore that for now. This is just me thinking about using red nether brick as a background block. And if you look at this red nether brick here is actually really bright. This red nether brick, on the other hand, is kind of darker. Like, let me look at this corner here for a second and compare how light the nether brick on the left looks to the nether brick on the right, and you'll notice this one is much lighter. Like if I take a color dropper, if I take a screenshot of this and put it into a graphics program like GIMP or Photoshop or something, and if I take a color dropper from the left-hand side and a color dropper from the right-hand side, the right-hand one turns out darker. And the reason for that is that all blocks in Minecraft are actually affected by this kind of universal map of light. And you can do the same thing with the grass block. If you put a grass block down here, you'll notice that the sides that face north and south are actually lighter than the sides that face east or west. And for most blocks, you don't really notice that as a difference. It doesn't tend to be that crucial when it comes to block placement. But because this is such a high contrast block, because it has the capacity to really pop out or really shrink back, it really influences where you want to build with it depending on what kind of color you want to have, like this darker red versus this lighter red. So if you're thinking of building walls with a really bright red color, you want them to be walls that will be noticeable if you're looking north or south. Now that's a really strange consideration to put into play when it comes to building stuff, so that's not necessarily something everyone is going to be thinking about, but this darker material, if you're facing east or west, will blend a lot better with darker materials like nether brick and that kind of stuff, whereas this will really want to make it stand out. Now, another thing to bear in mind is if I remove these blocks here and I replace them with solid blocks instead of stairs which let light through, you'll notice that a change comes over this red nether brick and it gets a lot darker. If anything, it's even darker than it is here. And again, this is because nether brick is being affected by the light around here. And this happens, again, with all Minecraft blocks anyway, but you'll notice that you can create some really interesting lighting effects if you just put some blocks like stairs or slabs, things that don't always, that let light through as opposed to blocking it. You'll notice there that this has really lightened up, but this area up here where I put the spruce logs remains kind of dark. And so it's going to be kind of crucial if you really want that red color to pop out to put red nether brick near blocks which either emit light or let light through. So if you put glowstone around here, then that's going to work pretty well. But if you put solid blocks around it, then the red nether brick color is going to be a little bit lost. If you want a darker material, then that's absolutely fine, but if you want a lighter material, then that is something to bear in mind. This isn't actually affected by lighting at all, though. So if you place a torch here underneath there, you'll notice it doesn't change the color at all. So it's not the light itself, it's not the light level of the blocks underneath there that's doing that, it's their lighting compared to the other blocks around them, which is something that's really interesting to bear in mind when you're designing a wall pattern like this. See, if I put it back like that, it's nice and bright again. Keep that in mind when you're considering building stuff with red nether brick in the update. The last thing I wanted to show you is this house, which I was really happy with when I put it together, and I'm still really happy with it now. I posted a picture of this on Reddit a couple of days ago, and people seem to really like it. They were a little bit concerned about the fact that red nether brick doesn't come with stairs and slabs, but you can make a roof like this with it using red nether brick as the main kind of structure of it, and occasional accents using old nether brick. And old nether brick actually looks pretty good. If you use it sparingly, it looks like an accent rather than kind of a high contrast to the red nether brick, and it actually looks pretty cool. It can look like the structure and the frame of the house is in the regular nether brick. So you can use stairs and slabs from other materials in place of the fact that red nether brick doesn't have stairs and slabs like this. And I think it looks fantastic as a roof material. I think it looks better than regular red brick would. I think it's really nice to have something to build roofs with that isn't just more wood. And I don't know, I think that's a really, really cool way of designing roofs. And it means roofs aren't going to be made out of wool. They're not going to catch fire and thunderstorms, that kind of thing. So that's been a little look at how I would use red nether brick in the game. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, leave a like on it and let me know if you'd like me to cover any more materials and how I consider building with them. That's going to be it for today's episode. My name has been Pixlriffs. Leave a like on it if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.